Okay, so day 1 ended, and now on to day 2. Lisa Oliveira, she's a waitress. Beautiful girl, actually. When I saw her, and I was like, okay, she may have a decent voice. She says she listens to Mariah Carey and Christina Aguilera. Big mistake, because I know for a fact when they say that's your favorite singer and you want to be like them, I know she set herself up for fail. And boy, was I right. Vision of Love was a horrible mess. She screamed her high notes. It was like, and she was pretty flat. Her voice was not strong enough to handle that song. If she sang another song that wasn't as bad as or big as Vision of Love, I thought she might have got through. I don't think she's ready for American Idol yet, but you know what? At least she tried. She had one of the better voices of the bad auditions. So, that's a compliment. And side note, even though they only showed her for like 30 seconds, Ryan King, Ring of Fire. Oh! Next up was Mike Davis, and he's an actor, and he actually hosts on a boat. One of those speed boats. And his name Godzilla. And I would love to go on one of those boats. Its 360 spins look sick, but I'm afraid that I will fall in the water. And you know big guys in water don't mix. It's a big old splash. Nah. But anyway, he sang yesterday, and he had a very tender, heartfelt voice. Now, I'm not too sure that it's going to hold up. It sounds like he's more of an actor rather than a singer, and he's just kind of singing for the hell of it, just to be on the show. But he has a good voice. I just don't think that it's going to cut it in the sea of singers, because I think he'll get lost. But you know what? I find it funny that he was flirting with Kara. Haven't we learned from season 2? We don't want another Corey Clark, Paula Abdul incident to happen. Paula left. Do not make Kara the new Paula. Stay away. Stay away. Next up was a 16-year-old Katie Stevens, and I thought that the Down syndrome story would get to me. This one really got to me. Her grandma is like this close to her, and it kind of reminds me how Elliot was with his mom. And she has Alzheimer's. I'm not too sure. I got distracted around this point, but she wants to perform and reach her dreams so that her Nana can remember her before, you know, her memory's gone, or if she so happens to pass. But she sang At Last, and that song is just amazing. I know the song's been overdone on Idol, but you know what? From a 16-year-old to have a voice like that, I think it's pretty incredible. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon yet. I think she left out with song choice, but I really have to see how she does in other songs. But as far as I'm concerned, yes, she potentially could be a great 16-year-old, but we'll see with other song choices. Okay, at this point, they've been featuring a lot of 16-year-olds. But this 28-year-old came walking in, and I swear, he was 20. His name was Joshua Bylock, and when he sang, all I can think of is Besame Mucho, when Sanjaya actually sounded good, but sounded like a 10-year-old. That was running through my mind before even Simon said, you sound like you're 14. He makes it through to Hollywood because he's a nice guy, but I don't think nice guy's going to cut it in Hollywood, but we'll see if he steps up. If he makes it to the top 24, I'm positive he's going to be cannon fodder. Next up is Justin Williams, and I remember this guy from last year. I don't know if you have a good eye, but last year, Matt Gerard, Chris Allen, White Chocolate, he was the 3rd member. And I remember, I thought he was a good singer, but hearing him this season, he sounds more like himself. He wants to be the Bublé kind of guy, and I can actually believe it. I really like how he goes in his falsetto. It reminds me of somebody when he goes in his falsetto. Sounds a lot like, I want to say Radiohead, because he's not edgy enough, but kind of close to it. You know what I mean? Like Tom York. His falsetto kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And to survive cancer is an awesome feat. Awesome feat. I'm pretty sure this guy's going to make the top 24. Almost positive. He didn't make it last year. He's going to make it this year. Trust me. Norberto. Now this has to be one of my favorite bad auditions because the guy comes in looking like one of the members of the Darkness. I believe anything goes. I was waiting for him to bust that out. But he's saying Cascadas every time we touch, and oh boy, all I can think of is Family Guy. You know that old guy who likes to sing in a whisper voice? He sounds like him, really off key. That's what it reminded me of. Oh boy, that was just... Next up is Bo Samara, and before I even go into his audition, he mentioned he's Nigerian, and I hope people don't botch up his name like they did Chikizi's name. That's all I can think of when they said he's Nigerian. I said, don't mess up his name, because we don't want that incident again. But anyway, his mother, wow. See how high that is? I had to measure. That looked like it was like 2 feet tall. Wow. But anyway, Bosa sang some song that I don't know. It was kind of like blase. He's not as good as Chikizi. And I was hoping for a real good R&B singer, but he's just only decent. And he doesn't really look like a star. But you know what? American Idol is about star making, so hopefully he does improve in Hollywood. But gotta use the alright, nothing to rah-rah about. And the last audition of the night is Leah Loretti, and she was told that singing she shouldn't do. Her parents don't believe in her, and she kept going. I know how hard that is. That warms my heart a bit, you know, because I identify with her in that way. And she sang Blue Skies, and she has an amazing jazz voice. I was just like mesmerized. And it seems there's a bunch of jazzy people they were showing off in Boston, but she was like the best. The song choice was on point. She had some interesting notes that were pleasing to the ear. I love her tone. So yeah, I can't wait to see more of her, and of course she goes through. And after that last audition, they cut to a guy named Antoine, which we didn't hear much of, alright? We just saw him, and supposedly Simon said no to him, but everyone said yes. And he comes out and he was like, yes! And he sounds like he has a pretty good booming R&B voice. And this voice, I'm waiting to hear in Hollywood. I hope they feature him more in Hollywood. Because from just that yes, I know he has a good voice. So I really want to hear him more. And it sucks if American Idol doesn't give him exposure. So all in all, Boston was a good, solid way to start off the show. There's still a couple of people that are interesting. I'm not saying that I'm jumping for joy and claiming them my idol just yet. But there's some really good talent in there. Amadeo, Katie, and Leah were one of my favorites that were featured, but most of the people that I was really interested in weren't really featured that much, like Jess Wolf and Antoine. Just from the little snippets I hear, I feel like I'm going to connect with them most. But we'll see what happens in Hollywood if they even get featured more. I hope they do. I really hope they do. One thing that kept bugging me is this Old Navy commercial that I was seeing through American Idol. They're advertising Goga pants, and they put Goga pants for women and little kids, so that way they can have a shapelier bottom. Does anybody see anything wrong with this? I'm sorry, I would not allow a youngin' to wear those pants. Goga pants are basically get a ginormous, and I don't want any guy staring at a little child's butt all day. That's just wrong. So I kind of feel weirded out seeing that commercial all through American Idol. Also, I would like to give my deepest condolences to my brothers and sisters over in Haiti. They experienced a 7.0 Richter scale earthquake that shattered houses, put one houses on top of the other, and destroyed roads. So my prayers go out to you. My family is Haitian, and you know, we were kind of worried about family that might be there, but you know, my wishes go out to you guys, because Haiti's been through a lot, and this was like the last thing it needed was an earthquake. So I got you in my prayers, guys. Be safe. And that ends it for another edition of All Types of Idol. Again, check out Idol Search, where the top 8 are to be singing standards this week. So until next time, love, peace, chicken grease.